It was early December, one of those magical evenings when the city comes alive, draped in Christmas lights and crisp, cold air. Emma Lawrence absolutely adored this time of year. She had just conquered her final exams and decided to celebrate with a Friday evening at Willow Creek Mall, on a mission to find the perfect gifts for her family. The mall was a spectacle of red and gold. Decorations glittered everywhere, and a gentle melody of Christmas carols drifted from hidden speakers, wrapping the bustling crowds in a festive hug. A few hours and several stores later, Emma was laden with 3 large shopping bags. One held a delicate perfume for her mom, another a stylish sweater for her dad, and the third was a treasure trove of stocking stuffers she'd picked up along the way. Feeling the weight of her successful shopping trip, she spotted an empty bench near the magnificent Christmas tree that towered in the center of the mall. It was the perfect spot to catch her breath before the drive home. She had just settled in when a man sat down beside her. He looked to be in his early 60s, dressed in a simple dark coat and a knit hat. He offered her a kind smile and made a light-hearted joke about the holiday rush, how crowded the mall was. Emma laughed politely. He seemed like a lonely, older gentleman, just looking for a bit of conversation, and she didn't have the heart to be rude. He asked what she was shopping for, and she found herself telling him about her family and the gifts she'd found. "You know, you remind me of my daughter," he said, his voice soft. He pulled out his phone and showed her a picture. It was a girl around her age, smiling brightly in what looked like a park. To be honest, the resemblance was zero, but Emma just nodded. An awkward feeling started to creep in, but she was too polite to just get up and walk away. After a few more minutes of small talk, she finally excused herself. "Well, it was nice talking to you," she said, offering a small wave as she stood up and headed towards the parking lot. She didn't think much of the encounter as she navigated the crowded corridors, her mind already on the cozy evening ahead. She found her car, tossed her shopping bags onto the passenger seat, and started the engine. The drive home was smooth, the city lights blurring past her window. And then, her phone buzzed. It wasn't a text or a call. It was a strange alert she'd never seen before. "AirTag found moving with you." Emma frowned, completely confused. She didn't own an AirTag. A knot of anxiety tightened in her stomach. Her pulse quickened as she tapped the notification. A small map appeared on her screen, showing her car's exact route through the city. It was tracking her. Right now, someone's AirTag was in her car. Her hands started to shake. She immediately pulled over onto a quiet side street, the world outside suddenly feeling dark and menacing. Following the on-screen instructions, she triggered the AirTag to play a sound. A faint, high-pitched beeping started to chirp. It was coming from her shopping bags. With trembling fingers, she reached for the bag from the perfume store. She slowly opened it, pushing aside the delicate tissue paper. And there it was. A small, white disc, no bigger than a coin, tucked neatly inside. Her stomach dropped. The friendly old man. The bag she had set right beside her on the bench. A wave of nausea washed over her. Without a second thought, she snatched the AirTag, threw it out of her car window, and sped away, her heart pounding against her ribs. She drove straight home, her mind racing. Who was that man? What did he want? When she finally pulled into her driveway, she practically ran to the front door, fumbling with her keys. Once inside, she locked the door, bolted it, and leaned against it, trying to catch her breath. Her brother, Josh, was out for the night, so she frantically texted him, explaining everything that had happened, her thumbs flying across the screen. His reply came almost instantly. "Stay inside. Keep the doors locked. I'm on my way." Trying to calm her frayed nerves, she walked into the kitchen to make a cup of tea. The simple act of boiling water felt grounding. She was just about to pour the hot water into her mug when the doorbell rang. The sound froze her in place, a jolt of pure ice shooting through her veins. It was followed by 3 slow, deliberate knocks. Then, a man's voice, muffled but clear, spoke through the door. "Hey miss, I think you might have my tracker. I must have dropped it in your bag." Her blood ran cold. It was him, the same calm, friendly voice from the mall. She backed away from the door silently, her breath caught in her throat. She wouldn't answer. She couldn't. Then he called her name. Emma. How did he know her name? He said it like he'd known it forever. A terrifying, paralyzing fear gripped her. Her curiosity, mixed with sheer terror, made her inch towards the living room window. Peeking through a tiny gap in the curtains, she saw him. He was standing under the warm glow of her porch light, his face eerily calm, unnervingly patient. He was just waiting. And then, as if the night couldn't get any more terrifying, her phone buzzed again. She looked down at the screen, her heart sinking into a bottomless pit of dread. Another notification had appeared. AirTag detected nearby. Only this time, it wasn't coming from her car. It wasn't outside. The signal was inside the house. Thanks for watching. This story is a chilling reminder to always be aware of your surroundings. If you enjoyed this, please hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next video. Stay safe out there. For nearly 3 years, Noah Vance had been a rideshare driver. He loved the freedom, the quiet miles ticking by, the space it gave him to think. On this particular night, a thick mist had settled over the city, blurring the streetlights into hazy halos. He was exhausted, his coffee was cold, and he promised himself just one more ride. Then, at 11:42 p.m., a request pinged on his phone. The name was Lena Ward. The pickup location was a narrow, forgotten street behind an old theater, a place he usually avoided after dark. When he pulled up, she was already there, a lonely figure under a flickering streetlight, clutching a small white box. Her long brown coat seemed to swallow her small frame, and her eyes, wide and nervous, darted from the dark theater to his approaching car. She slid into the back seat without a word. "Good evening," Noah said, trying to inject some warmth into the chilly night. She just gave a faint nod. "Can you take me to the Harbor View Apartments?" Her voice was quiet, almost a whisper. The ride stretched on for about 20 minutes in near silence. Just once, she broke it, her voice cutting through the hum of the engine. "Do you ever feel like you being watched while you driving at night?" The question was so strange, it threw him off balance. He mumbled something about security cameras and GPS tracking, trying to sound reassuring. She just offered a small, sad smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. When they arrived at her destination, she thanked him softly, slipped out of the car, and disappeared into the night, leaving the white box behind on the back seat. "Hey, you forgot this," he called out, but she was gone, swallowed by the mist. He hesitated, then curiosity got the better of him. He opened the box. Inside, neatly arranged, was a stack of small silver keychains, and at the bottom, a single, smooth, white disc. He figured it was some kind of gadget, maybe a battery for one of the keychains. Without another thought, he tossed it into the glove compartment and started his drive home. He was about halfway there when his phone buzzed. A notification popped up on the screen. "AirTag found moving with you." He furrowed his brow. Suddenly, the sound of his own tires on the wet pavement seemed deafeningly loud. He tapped the alert, and a map appeared, tracing his exact route, starting from the moment he left the old theater. A cold knot formed in his stomach. He pulled over at the next gas station, the only island of light in the darkness, and listened. A faint, almost imperceptible chirping sound was coming from the glove compartment. His hands trembled as he opened it and pulled out the little white disc. His heart hammered against his ribs. Without a second thought, he launched it into a trash bin outside and just sat in his car, trying to catch his breath. It had to be a mistake, right? An accident, but he couldn't shake the memory of her strange question, the vacant look in her eyes. That night, sleep was a stranger. The next morning, still unnerved, he contacted the rideshare company's customer support. He explained what happened, gave them the name. The response sent a chill down his spine. The support agent told him there was no active account registered under the name Lena Ward. The ride record existed, but the phone number attached to it had been deactivated. Now truly scared, Noah went to the local police station. He found himself sitting across from a wary-looking officer named Milton Crane. Noah explained everything, from the strange passenger to the phantom account to the AirTag. Crane listened patiently, his expression serious. He examined the notification on Noah's phone and gave a slow, knowing nod. "We've had a few reports like this lately," he said, his voice grim. "People being tracked. If she planted this on you intentionally, we'll find out why." They managed to trace the AirTag serial number. It was purchased with a prepaid card 2 weeks prior from an electronics store across town. No ID, no name, a complete dead end. The case felt like it was dissolving back into the mist. That evening, as Noah was trying to put the whole bizarre incident behind him, his phone buzzed again. The same chilling notification, "AirTag found moving with you." A fresh wave of panic washed over him. He tore his car apart, searching frantically, under the seats, inside the trunk. He even popped the hood. Nothing. Finally, almost giving up, he checked underneath the car. There it was, tucked up against the rear bumper, wrapped in black electrical tape, was another white disc. He drove straight back to the station, his hands shaking on the steering wheel. Officer Crane took the new tracker, his face grim, and ran the serial number. This time, there was a hit. The device was registered to a missing person. The name on the report, Lena Ward. According to the file, she had vanished 2 months ago. Her last known location was near that same old theater where Noah had picked her up. The AirTag signal led the police to an abandoned storage complex down by the harbor. Inside, they found a horrifying scene, traces of burned fabric, old clothes, and several more AirTags, each linked to a different victim, all reported missing. When Officer Crane told him what they'd discovered, Noah felt the world tilt on its axis. He couldn't stop shaking. He remembered her pale, cold hands, the faint, lingering smell of seawater on her coat, and her ghostly voice asking if he ever felt watched. He did now. Every time he drives at night, every time he checks his rearview mirror for just a fraction of a second, he sees her reflection in the back seat, silent, watchful, as if she's still out there waiting for her next ride. Thanks for watching. If this story sent a chill down your spine, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the dark side of the road. Stay safe out there. It was early September when Iris Morgan moved into her new apartment. She was a quiet woman in her late 20s, a graphic designer who loved the solitude of working from home. The building itself was old, but had character, with ivy climbing its brick walls and a charming, groaning elevator. The city hummed softly outside her window, and the peaceful nights were perfect for her work. The apartment came fully furnished, which was a relief, since she didn't own much. She spent that first weekend making the place her own, rearranging furniture, and setting up her desk by the window. Everything felt perfectly normal, until the third night. It began with small sounds, faint clicks from the hallway, like metal tapping on metal. She brushed it off as the old building settling, the pipes groaning their nightly song. But the next morning, she noticed something odd, faint scratch marks around the lock on her front door. The building manager dismissed it as simple wear and tear. Still, a seed of unease was planted. That evening, she texted her friend Mason, who lived across town. He laughed it off, telling her she was just being paranoid from living alone in a new place. "Call me if you hear any ghosts," he joked. Iris tried to laugh with him, but the feeling wouldn't go away. Over the next few days, her phone started acting strangely. It would vibrate at random times, but when she checked, there were never any notifications. One night, as she lay in bed, it buzzed again. This time, there was a message on the screen. She picked it up, and her blood ran cold. The notification read, "AirTag found moving with you." Confusion was her first reaction. She didn't own any Apple devices besides her phone. She tapped the alert, and a map appeared, a small dot blinking over her exact location, her apartment building. Her heart started hammering against her ribs. Frantically, she tore her apartment apart. She turned on every light, searching through couch cushions, pulling out drawers, checking her bags, even looking inside the fridge. Nothing. She found absolutely nothing. Sleep was impossible that night. Every creak of the floorboards, every shuffle from the hallway, sounded like a threat. The next morning, exhausted but determined, she decided to try again. This time, she would be methodical. Following the instructions on her phone, she activated the AirTag's sound feature. A faint, rhythmic chirping started, echoing from somewhere near her bed. Iris dropped to her knees, her ears straining to pinpoint the source. The sound led her to the old baseboard heater. She peered into the narrow gap behind it and saw it a small, white disc, covered in dust, an AirTag. Her stomach twisted into a knot. She carefully picked it up, placed it in a metal bowl to try and block the signal, and immediately called the police. Officer Hale arrived about 30 minutes later. He was calm, almost dismissive. He examined the AirTag, took down the serial number, and told her he'd look into it. When she asked if she should stay somewhere else for the night, he shrugged. "It's probably just a prank," he said. "Maybe a previous tenant lost it and forgot about it." Iris wanted to believe him. She really did. But that night, the scratching sound returned. This time, it was louder, more deliberate. She could hear the distinct sound of metal turning inside her lock. Heart pounding, she grabbed her phone and hit record. The sound lasted for about 20 agonizing seconds before it stopped. She held her breath, listening. A moment later, she heard footsteps retreating down the hall. The next morning, she sent the recording to Mason. He was at her door within the hour. He examined the lock, his expression grim. "Iris, there are tool marks all around the keyhole," he said, pointing them out. He didn't wait for the building manager this time. He went out, bought a new deadbolt, and installed it himself. For extra security, he also set up a small camera facing her front door from inside. For a few days, there was nothing. The silence was a relief, and Iris slowly started to feel safe again. She began to think that maybe Officer Hale was right. Maybe it was just a weird, isolated incident. But on the fifth night, as she sat at her desk working on a design, the chilling notification reappeared. "AirTag found moving with you." She froze, her hands trembling so hard she could barely hold her phone. She opened the map. The signal was inside the apartment. Again, it was coming from right beside her. With a shaking hand, she triggered the sound. A faint chirp came from the lamp on her desk. She unscrewed the lampshade, her breath catching in her throat, and there it was. Taped to the underside of the bulb socket, another AirTag. Panic, pure and overwhelming, took over. She grabbed her keys and fled into the hallway, fumbling to call Mason. "He's back," she choked into the phone. "There's another one." Mason told her to get out of the building, go downstairs, and wait for him. He was on his way. As she raced for the exit, a man stepped out from the stairwell, blocking her path. His clothes were nondescript, but his face was all wrong. His expression was to calm, his eyes to knowing. He looked at her, a faint smile playing on his lips. "You found it faster this time," he said, his voice quiet and chilling. Iris stumbled backward, her fingers scrambling to dial 911. But before she could, Mason's voice boomed from the building entrance below, shouting her name. The man's calm demeanor shattered. He turned and bolted back into the stairwell, disappearing into the darkness. The police arrived minutes later, but he was long gone. They reviewed the footage from Mason's little camera. It showed the man entering the building multiple times over the past week, always late at night, and always using his own key. A few days later, the report on the first AirTag came back. The serial number was registered to a property maintenance company that had gone out of business a year ago. Digging deeper, they found a connection. The previous tenant in Iris's apartment had filed a restraining order against that same man. He was a former building employee who had kept a master key after being fired. He had vanished before the case ever went to court. After that night, Iris moved out. She never went back. She changed her number, got a new phone, and swore off any device that could track her location. The police never found him. But sometimes, even now, when she's walking home late at night, her phone will buzz in her pocket for no reason. She never checks the screen anymore. She just grips her keys a little tighter, quickens her pace, and pretends not to hear. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next video. Stay safe out there.